A Southern Kentucky superintendent is under fire tonight after some strange pictures surfaced on the internet.
He is trying to run for two positions at once, why Kentucky Republicans will have to decide whether to replace their presidential primary with a caucus to accommodate Senator Rand Paul.
The University of Kentucky is testing out a new technology. Why researchers say these devices could help improve weather forecasts.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
He says he was trying to win a contest for his daughter, but a Southern Kentucky school official's attempt to stand out is now creating some buzz in the community.
Science Hill Superintendent Rick Walker's daughter tweeted this picture of her dad. Now, Walker says his daughter is a huge One Direction fan, and he was trying to win tickets to their concert. But some parents say these pictures send the wrong message. Miranda Combs is in Pulaski County with our top story at 5:30.
The pictures were actually taken last month, but just in the past week, they're now all over Pulaski County social media. Parents want answers.
They don't need to see this type of stuff from role models and leaders and people they respect.
She's talking about these pictures. He is the superintendent for Science Hill Independent School District and has been for 13 years. He's also the father of a 13-year-old girl who's a big fan of the group One Direction.
I'm just going with the flow, just like when she was little. I mean, it was a great moment for us together. It really was.
He's referring to the day his daughter came home and wanted to enter a contest for dads.
If he proves he's the biggest fan for One Direction, then they get front row seats and meet and greet in the back of the boys. He said, I have to win that. I'm thinking, okay, we'll do it. We're going to do it.
That was back in July. They didn't win. The concert is over. But the backlash of these pictures just started.
I was just disgusted with it, really. I mean, there's so many ways that picture can be taken, and it doesn't matter what the purpose was for the picture.
Erica Phillips met us with several other parents that didn't want their faces shown.
You have an obligation to be a role model to our children.
That I do regret if it's interpreted in a way that I'm not trying to set a good example for kids.
He says he was just being a dad to a kid, trying to teach her the importance of having fun.
She was living life, and I want her to live large and to take chances and not just to be a little robot is scared because I'm going to make a mistake and people are going to make fun of me.
Walker says there will be a board meeting tonight to figure out where to go from here. In Pulaski County, Miranda Combs, WKYT.
The Science Hill Independent School District is a kindergarten through 8th grade district.
An Eastern Kentucky woman credits her dogs for saving her life. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Pike County. Firefighters say a couple's house caught fire in the Raccoon community a little after 3 this morning. Fern Justice says her 2 dogs woke her up and the 3 had to crawl out of the house.
Never met flame, and I was seeing everything went up far. In between the garage and my trailer, they would have a garage there with 2 4-wheeler in it. The flame was shooting up to the top of the house.
Justice says she has some burn marks on her arm. She also says that 2 other animals died in that fire. In Harrison County, a father admits to police he drank 6 beers before crashing his truck with his wife and child inside. According to the Cynthiana Democrat, police arrested 26-year-old Robert Swearigan on US 27. They say he tried to pass another vehicle, lost control, and then skidded across both lanes before hitting a fence. Police say he then took off and a Kentucky State Trooper pulled him over a few miles down the road. Police say his 3-year-old son was in the front seat. No one was hurt in that crash. And in Taylor County, the Sheriff's Office is investigating a string of thefts. Deputies say several lawnmowers, chainsaws, a tractor, and a 4-wheeler have gone missing. Deputies say the items were taken from Greensburg Road, Old Hodgenville Road, and Farmers Ridge Road within the last few weeks. Anyone with any information is asked to call the Sheriff's Office.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul making a stop in his home state this weekend. The senator is on a mission to bring a presidential caucus to Kentucky. Senator Paul wants to run for the U.S. Senate and president at the same time. But as of now, the Commonwealth does not allow that. Washington Bureau's Peter Zampa talks to Paul about his efforts.
It's one Rand in 2 seats. Unfortunately for the senator, Kentucky law prohibits Paul from appearing twice on the same ballot, but a presidential caucus in March would eliminate the primary and allow him to run just once on the May ticket as a senatorial candidate. Paul argues that other states don't have the same requirements, so why should Kentucky? In 2008, Joe Biden won re-election for his Delaware Senate seat, but gave it up when he was elected vice president. 4 years later, Paul Ryan kept his congressional seat when he lost his bid for vice president. Now Rand Paul wants the same option, to have his cake and eat it too. But allowing candidates to run for 2 offices is up to the states, and Kentucky does not allow it. Paul doesn't think he should have to choose between the 2 seats, even though he told me in early July that he wants more revolving doors in Washington.
I get frustrated sometimes, and then I think sometimes maybe we need term limits. Maybe we just need more turnover in office, and that might be a better way of getting new people to overcome the status quo, because the status quo is in Washington is horribly broken.
In Washington, Peter Zampa, WKYT.
And Republicans have expressed their support for the idea of a caucus, but some worry about Paul's current favorability. The senator has said he will personally transfer money to fund the caucus, but there are concerns as to whether or not he will actually have the funds to foot the bill come March. Say goodbye to the heat and humidity. We are getting a taste of fall right now in August.
Yes, and it looks like the cooler weather will take us right into the start of high school football season. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at your forecast.
Yeah, guys, nice stuff out there. It's basically been a summer without heat. We've had a lot of cooler than normal temperatures of late across central and eastern Kentucky, and we look outside, and those numbers are very, very nice. We've got a lot of upper 70s that are showing up as of right now with a partly sunny sky. It feels and it looks the part of September and October. Temperatures right now mid to upper 70s across the entire region. So everything, again, very nice out there throughout central and eastern Kentucky. Hit the fast forward button through 7 o'clock this evening through 11. Watch how quickly those numbers drop. Sunsets, dry air in place. Look out. Numbers drop very, very quickly into the low 60s by 11. First thing tomorrow morning out the door, with 50 showing up. Touch of some fog out there, too, into much of central and eastern Kentucky. Live First Alert Defender, nothing across central and eastern parts of the state. The cold front that gave us all the ugly weather of the past few days off to our east now. And what we're seeing now, just a mix of sun and clouds across all areas. View into downtown Lexington, at least our side of Lexington, Hamburg Pavilion side. Sun and some clouds out there. Overall, very nice weather throughout the entire region. And again, nothing expected on that hour-by-hour forecast through the evening, so we will focus on the fall pattern. That continues, guys. I've got another potent fall front. Say that one 3 times. 7-day forecast here in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Chris. Thank you. Researchers at the University of Kentucky say a new technology could make a huge difference in weather forecast. The university received a grant to use drones to collect weather data. And as meteorologist Jim Caldwell tells us, the technology could be a game changer. It's a story that's new at 5:30.
The University of Kentucky received a grant from the National Science Foundation that will allow researchers to use drones for expanded weather data collection. The data gathered through this project will likely have huge impacts in the future.
Be ultimately, better weather forecasting and maybe longer time prediction of severe weather, that's coming because of folks being able to have measurements, in the future that are a different way than they have them now.
In forecasting weather, having more current data will enable models to have a better picture of the atmosphere. It all starts with gathering the information.
So the first thing for us really is to go out in the field and just start collecting some preliminary data. We've been doing it in the lab where we've got soil samples and crop samples where we look at the different parameters that we want to be able to measure in the field.
The sensors they send out will measure wind, atmospheric chemistry, soil moisture, and numerous other parameters. The project is called Cloud Map and could be huge in the world of weather.
Where this could be a game changer, in people's lives and the impact on understanding weather.
Well, we won't see the instant results with implementation in the models. With this project, it is all about the future, and it is bright. This could ultimately lead to more weather preparation to keep you and your family safe. In Lexington, I'm WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
That is pretty cool. This project is a collaborative effort between a university in Oklahoma and another in Nebraska. We have a scam alert to pass along to you tonight. The Better Business Bureau is warning people about a fake loan website. BBB leaders say the company Commonwealth Bank claims to have an address in Lawrenceburg. The listed address is actually a Commonwealth Credit Union office. The office says they found out about the scam after someone from Alabama called to ask about the website. They say the woman applied for the loan and the fake company then sent her a check for nearly $500. After that, the company took an additional $500 from her account.
Speaking of scams, many times in our consumer alert stories, we have shown you examples of people taken in by so-called lotteries. They claim that you are a winner, but need to pay a fee to receive your winnings. Louisa from Lexington is asking this good question tonight. I was wondering if any of the viewers have heard anyone being contacted on Facebook about winning a lotto where you have to pay in order to get your winnings. They claim no scam, that both the FBI and the CIA know about this. Well, Louisa, thank you for your question. First of all, one of the first red flags is that they're even telling you that the FBI and CIA know about it. That's a problem. Secondly, the major problem, red flag, is they want you to pay a fee. Most lottery scams are a type of advance fee fraud. The scammer will ask the victims to pay a fee in advance to receive their prize. All genuine lotteries simply subtract any fees and tax from the prize. And regardless of what the scammer claims this fee is for, like courier charges, bank charges, or various imaginary certificates, these are all fabricated by the scammer to obtain money from you, the victim. No legitimate lottery ever asks you to pay a fee or make a payment up front to receive your winnings. That's the bottom line. If you have a good question, go to WKYT.com.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
The president of the American Medical Association says he supports Governor Beshear's decision to expand Medicaid.
And former President Jimmy Carter begins his cancer treatment today. Bill Bryant has the bottom line.
Good evening. The current president of the American Medical Association is from Lexington. The organization supports the Affordable Care Act with some changes as time goes on. Emergency room physician Stephen Stack is the youngest AMA president since 1854. He is supportive of Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear's decision to expand Medicaid. He acknowledges there are concerns about the costs for the state going forward, but he insists the investment in health care is a good deal for the state because the federal government is committed to picking up 90% of the cost in the future.
Spending a dime to get 90 cents is a good investment over the long term. And so, yes, the price will go up slightly, but the return on that is a ninefold return. And I would suggest in terms of having healthier Kentuckians who can be more productive and happy with their families and do better work is a long-term, a far better investment for the state.
Dr. Stack is a guest on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. Also on the program is the president of Kentucky's Community and Technical College System, Jay Box. Republican Senator Rand Paul, who is also running for president, has left Haiti after spending 4 days there on a humanitarian mission. He's been doing eye surgery on impoverished Haitians. Paul returns to Kentucky in time to make several stops in southeastern Kentucky tomorrow, including one with Republican nominee for governor Matt Bevin. On Saturday, Paul will press state Republican leaders to go ahead with the presidential caucus next year. Former President Jimmy Carter started treatments for cancer today. He told reporters he is perfectly at ease with whatever comes. In 1976, Carter carried Kentucky over Gerald Ford to win the state's 9 electoral votes at that time. He lost Kentucky to Ronald Reagan 4 years later. Carter has visited Kentucky several times since his days as president. There'll be more about President Carter on the CBS Evening News at 6:30. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
The Red Mile racetrack in Lexington is starting to look a lot different these days. Progress is being made on the $30 million renovation, which includes an updated grandstand.
Today, crews brought in a large crane to work on the renovations. Crews have also started work on the sign spelling out Red Mile. And they say they hope to have all the letters lit and up by tomorrow night. Keeneland will have its year-round simulcast wagering operations at Red Mile, and it will offer a facility for instant racing. The track's parking lots are also being renovated. Everything is expected to be finished later this year.